Hi, my name is Marcia Stein, and I am the chair of the Rancho Mirage Emergency Preparedness Commission. And I'm delighted today to have Kit Animosa, who I've worked with for many years, the Red Cross. She's certainly an expert in emergency preparedness, and she's here today to talk about Map Your Neighborhood.
And I'm delighted to be here. It's a wonderful program, and we'll go through it.
Thank you. So, Kit, I'm delighted that you've gotten involved with Map Your Neighborhood. I just think it's so interesting. Why don't you tell our viewers about Map Your Neighborhood? What is it?
It is a program to help small groups of houses, 15 to 20 houses, get ready for a major disaster. It was started in the Bay Area after the Loma Prieta earthquake, but was kind of honed in Seattle, and that's where I first got involved with it in the mid-90s, and it's now a very efficient program that's totally DVD run, and it just runs so smoothly. It's a great program.
That's so exciting. How does that differ from what you've done personally to prepare? How does this differ from that?
Well, everybody needs to have a personal preparedness kit. Out here in the desert, we need at least 2 weeks of water. We need 2 weeks of food, and that doesn't mean those little barely edible bricks that you get. I mean, it has to be stuff that you can live on for 2 weeks. I mean, because LA is going to get most of the action right after this earthquake. We'll get help, but not the level that LA will get. People need to have a tent because there are going to be aftershocks at the time we're filming this. There have recently been earthquakes in Ecuador and in Japan, and there have been multiple aftershocks in both of those locations. People are not going to want to be in their houses. So there are lists that you can go. There's one on the Commission website as to things you can use. There's one, I'm with the organization called Mission Hills Emergency Preparedness Community Task Force, which covers loosely Mission Hills. We have one on our website, which is called helpyouprep.org. But there are lots of, Red Cross has lists of things that people should have. You should have documents. So everybody needs that. Then the next step up is getting your neighborhood ready. And part of the reason for doing that is it's going to be victims helping victims. There will not be fire response. There will not be police response. There will be limited utility response at first. They're going to be working at the hospitals. So it's going to be those of us in our neighborhoods helping each other. So the more you know about your neighbors, the better off it's going to be.
I agree. I was a block captain. Block captains don't work because I have all that information in my house and I'm out of town.
Exactly. One of the wonderful things about Map Your Neighborhood is as you leave the meeting, everybody has all of the information. And let me just interject here, though, that in addition to having your personal preparedness and doing Map Your Neighborhood, having as many people in your community do CERT training as possible is great, because in CERT training you learn some of the light search and rescue so that you're not injuring people while you're trying to help them, basic first aid, fire suppression. So getting as many people trained in CERT is also a great thing, and the Map Your Neighborhood program does perfectly with CERT. That's Community Emergency Response Training.
Great, yes, I'm also done CERT, and so is my husband, and it makes me feel comfortable knowing I can take care of myself and my husband if I have to, and some of our neighbors who I know will need a lot of help. They're older and they infirmed, and just knowing that is really important. So that's true. Thank you.
One of the great things about Map Your Neighborhood is that you also find out who is infirm, who's going to need additional help, so that you can go to them first. So it's a great program.
I agree. Thank you so much. I just have another question. I noticed when I looked at it, it said put fire extinguishers in the street. What's that about?
Well, it is a modern day fire brigade. It is, after an earthquake, one of the big risks is fire. If people have had gas on and it ignites, you could have one house go up and then you could end up with a conflagration. I think after Loma Prieta, there was a huge fire in the Marina district. The projections for what we might have at a 7.8 or an 8.2 earthquake is that in Riverside County, we could have 1,800 homes burn. So, and the fire department won't be available. And so limiting that is important. So as you'll see in the video, after one of the steps for the first 60 minutes after an earthquake is that you put your fire extinguisher, I happen to have one right here, be a little Vanna White here, put the fire extinguisher on the curb in the sight line so that people can run by and pick it up and put out fires while they're small. And if there's a relatively small fire, then a few of these would help. I believe that every house in the entire city of Rancho Mirage should have at least 2 fire extinguishers, ABC fire extinguishers. They should be rechargeable, and people should check to make sure that they're okay, check the dial. At the same time, they set their clocks back and check their smoke detectors.
Great suggestions. I agree. It's very easy to forget about them, and when you need them, they're no longer going to be working.
You gotta have them. You can shake them.
Shake them. That's what I heard, that you get to shake them. I do that sometimes too. And you're right about looking at the dial. It's really important. Yeah.
If you have one that's rechargeable, if you can get them at Lowe's and Home Depot and any of the kind of big box stores, look for one that's rechargeable. There are places both in Indio and in Palm Springs that can recharge them. If you get one that's not rechargeable, it's actually a hazmat thing, and you have to call the city to arrange to dispose of it, which is kind of a pain. And then you're filling up landfills or something. So get one that's rechargeable. It may cost you slightly more, but in the long run, you're better off.
Wow, I'll have to go home and look at mine. I'm actually not sure if mine are rechargeable or not. So thank you for that, Kit. Okay, so Kit, any more special tips? You have such great ideas. Anything else?
Let me just talk a little bit about how this program works.
Okay.
It is totally DVD driven. So this is the DVD. You can get with it a CD that has some paperwork on it, like an invitation letter. We generally like to have people go out and personally invite their neighbors. Knock on the door, ring the doorbell, not just send out the letters, because people won't come if there's not that one-on-one contact.
Right.
When I've done it in my neighborhood, I tried to schedule it at least 4 to 5 weeks out because people's calendars get busy. I had mine in the evening, but I actually think the afternoon might have been better, say from 4 to 6. It takes about 2 hours. And what you do, the host, I recommend, food and wine, and maybe a little beer, but the host just provides a place, and they need to have a TV that can broadcast the DVD, either through a computer or through a DVD player. A DVD player is easier. Then they will have enough of these for each household, a Map Your Neighborhood booklet. And it has, and then the DVD just takes you right through this booklet. You just flip through it as Luann Johnson, who is the instructor on the DVD, takes you through and tells you what you need to do. One of our hostesses, one of the things they tell you to do, and the second step, I think, after the earthquake, is you go and you turn off the water intake into the house, because it protects the water that's in the house from contamination, and theoretically, I think, keeps it from going out. So one of my hostesses has little brown tags with the wires that you can hook onto the water turnoff, and it's not the water turnoff at the street, it's the water turnoff in the house. In my house, it's actually outside. In a lot of houses, it's inside, but people in the house need to know where it is. And I have to say that Luann Johnson on the tape tells a very funny story about when she was a kid and didn't know where the valve turnoff was. So people, when they start, introduce themselves, describe their house. They put their house number and possibly describe it. We also suggest that before the event, the host or hostess actually draw a map. Now, I got my map for our neighborhood from our HOA manager, our management company, and we're 72 homes, and we divided our neighborhood into 4 zones that we had meet together. And I didn't do this before my meeting, but I should have. I broke each of these out into an individual map. So this is an individual deal. And we go through and marked on each house where the gas shutoff was.
Oh,
now,
great.
In our neighborhood, it's actually pretty easy because it's relatively standard. It's by the driveway. But you mark on each one because that's one of the things you're going to want to know. We would hope that everybody will be able to run up to test to see if they need to turn off their gas, only if you can smell it, hear it, or if your dials are running wild. But If not, if somebody's hurt or there's no one home, your other neighbors will be turning off the gas if that's important, and knowing immediately where the gas cutoff valve is can be very helpful. So that's something that the host or hostess can do in advance. So ultimately, people go through, throughout this program, they make a list. They decide what's going to be the neighborhood gathering site that everybody can come to after the event. People can sometimes just run from one house to the other. It's actually much more efficient if everybody comes to one place and there's an organized way of going out to check on people. We also have them select a neighborhood care area, which is where people, children, unattended children, or children whose parents are out helping can go. And perhaps it's the people who are older or infirm or who need a little special help or particularly rattled, so to speak, by the earthquake. They can gather there, preferably a place that has no steps, so not a sunken living room. So you select that, and then you do a neighborhood skills and assessment inventory. This goes through and asks in which houses people have first aid skills. Okay, I'm trained in first aid, so I would put, my house address is number 7, Kit Animosa. Child care skills. Well, I have no child care skills. My name will not go there. Elder care skills. Search and rescue skills. People who have been trained in CERT have search and rescue skills. So they would go. Crisis counseling skills. Somebody that may have an MSW. Carpentry skills, plumber skills, electrician skills. So this is a skills inventory, and you find out who in this 15 to 20 house grouping have these skills that you might be able to call upon. And then you go through and do an equipment and supplies inventory. First aid supplies. Now, every household should have a first aid kit. You can get little simple ones like this from the Red Cross. You can get them on Amazon.com. My organization, the Community Preparedness Task Force, sells them at cost. We don't make any, this is not a moneymaker for us. Our desire is to get them into people's houses. And in this one, there's a little booklet that explains basic first aid. So everybody should have a first aid kit. But tents and spare bedding, a chainsaw. Now, I'm assuming that most of us in the area are not going to have chainsaws, but people who are very into preparedness, even not what we would call preppers, but people who are into preparedness, frequently will have chainsaws. Fire extinguishers, everybody should have 2. Camp stove, a NOAA weather radio, everybody should have a radio. And quite frankly, it should be at least a battery-operated radio because the power will probably be off. But we also recommend that it be a crank or a solar or both radios, so that as the batteries die, if we're having trouble for 2 weeks, being able to crank that thing up. Many of the radios have cell phone, USB ports, so you can sit there and crank. You may be able to get the kids in the care center to be cranking some of that stuff. So that, because after, say, Hurricane Sandy hit New York, people were having to walk north from the Battery District to try and find a place so they could charge their phones to let people know they were okay. So you want to have that capability. Ladders, crowbars, everybody should have a crowbar in their personal preparedness kit. Strong rope, lighting. Some communities, such as the Springs, now Mission Hills has that, and Sun City Palm Desert is incredible, have special community groups. That's a step beyond what we're talking about now. This is 15 to 20 houses. Figure out what people have. And then the DVD just takes you right through it.
So Kit, let me ask you, where would someone who's watching this and would like to get some neighbors together to do a Map Your Neighborhood, where can they get the DVD and the paperwork?
Well, they can call Claudia Fawcett or me. My email address is kanimosa@hotmail.com. I will get you Claudia's. And my telephone number is 206-617-6071, and people can simply call me and I can arrange to have that done. The city may have some of them because the Emergency Preparedness Commission and the city helped pay for some of these. There are also people available who can help. I'm a snowbird, so I'm not here during the summer, but Claudia is, and there are other people who are trained in this. So if they contact us, we are happy to have people come in and help you with this, because we would like everybody prepared in this. I mean, we don't gain anything from this. There's no charge. If you order over a certain number of booklets, you may have to pay for some of them, but you can have them copied yourself, and we have a place that you can copy them for, I think, between 32 and 35 cents a booklet. It's a very good price. So we are just interested in people being prepared.
I also want to add Britt Wilson. So if you call the city of Rancho Mirage and ask for Britt Wilson, he is my person that I work with as chair of the Emergency Preparedness Commission. And he has information and materials, so you don't have to keep calling you. You might get a lot of phone calls.
And
Kit.
I'm happy to take them because this is a passion of mine. I would encourage people not to be too discouraged if the first time they do this, they don't have a whole lot of people. Word spreads. So if you do, you need to update it every year because people move, situations change, people get stuff. I mean, they may decide to get a small generator. So you update it every year. And as you update it, more people come because more people hear about it from their neighbors. I would also mention that this is an excellent neighborhood watch type thing. If you get to know those 15 to 20 people, households around yours, then you are going to, number one, have their contact information. And when you do the contact information on the folder, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go to Map Your Neighborhood Central. It doesn't go to me. It doesn't go to anybody. This is just for your neighborhood. But you will have the best contact information for your neighbors. So if a white panel van pulls up to your neighbor's house and starts moving out equipment, your electronics, you will be able to call somebody because you have this. One of the other great things about this program is that they have you keep this, a hard hat, boots or shoes, sturdy shoes, and work gloves under your bed so you always know where they are. So if you see something in the neighborhood that's not right and you need to contact a neighborhood, you'll always know where this is. It's kept under the bed. Let's see. I guess that basically covers it. I can't tell you what a wonderful program, and we're going to have you watch a brief section. What you're going to see is just the summary of the first 7 steps, and it kind of describes what they've gone through, and people can always request a DVD and watch it, and I strongly encourage the host or hostess to watch the entire program before their guests arrive.
That's great, Kit. Thank you so much. I think Map Your Neighborhood is incredible. I think for the residents of Rancho Mirage, it's a wonderful way to be comfortable and know that they're going to be okay because they have people around them supporting them and they're supporting their neighbors. It's terrific. So thank you so much.
You are most welcome.
Hello and welcome to the Map Your Neighborhood training program. I'm Grant Goody, and I'm going to share with you a few things to keep in mind before you show the main Map Your Neighborhood video to your neighbors. During the neighborhood preparedness meeting, you and your neighbors will learn the 9 steps to take immediately following a disaster. You'll identify the skills and equipment each neighbor has that will be useful in a disaster response. You'll create a map of your neighborhood showing the locations of gas and propane meters. And you'll complete a contact list that will identify each neighbor who may need extra help following a disaster, such as the elderly, neighbors with disabilities, or children home alone. So grab a pen or pencil and a Map Your Neighborhood booklet, and let's begin. Before you hold your neighborhood meeting, there are 4 things we have found that will help you have a successful meeting. First, figure out your neighborhood boundaries. We recommend including 15 to 20 homes. This is a typical block, corner to corner, both sides of the street. For apartment or condominium complexes larger than 25 homes, consider dividing it into smaller groups. The number of houses matters because the most effective response occurs in the first hour following disasters. It's called the golden hour because of its value in saving lives, reducing the severity of injury, property, and environmental damage. If a group is too large, it becomes unmanageable and difficult to respond effectively in that first 60 minutes. Second, personally invite neighbors to attend. Experience shows that a personal invitation is what encourages your neighbors to attend. We have included a written reminder on the Map Your Neighborhood CD to leave with your neighbors to remind them of the date. But to ensure a good turnout, invest the time and extend a personal invitation. Make sure you hold the meeting in either your home or a neighbor's home and not at a school or community building. Experience shows that more people will come to a home rather than to another building. A full house generates lots of enthusiasm and energy. Even if people have to sit on the floor, that's okay. The meeting is dynamic enough that most people won't mind. If you're concerned about not having enough chairs, ask people to bring a chair or a pillow to sit on. Third, review the Map Your Neighborhood meeting video included on this DVD so you are familiar with its contents. Fourth, prepare for the meeting by creating a master neighborhood map. Neighbors will use your drawing as a model to create their own map in their handout. This will reduce confusion and save valuable meeting time. Draw a map containing streets, blocks, and house lots. This will help ensure you have an accurate map of your neighborhood. Include all house numbers and the names of your neighbors if you know them. For the meeting, have on hand pencils and erasers. Be ready to show the shoes you keep under your bed. If possible, also have on hand your fire extinguisher, hard hat, and leather gloves. After the meeting, it is highly recommended that you walk the neighborhood with everyone. Seeing a gas meter's actual location creates a visual that is helpful in a disaster response. Thanks for taking the lead in preparing your neighborhood for disaster. Remember, when disaster occurs, your neighbors may be the only ones who are able to help you. By facilitating this meeting, you are helping prepare yourself, your family, and your entire neighborhood to know what to do following a disaster. So let's get started and map your neighborhood.
Kit, I can't thank you enough. I think your information is so valuable, and I so appreciate your taking your time to talk to our residents about Map Your Neighborhood. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too.